What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 27 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded King Louen campaign. Sorry about the bit of delay between this episode and the last. Unfortunately, the heater in my apartment broke and it gets quite cold here. Too cold, certainly, to sit at my computer and play rather than just trying to stay warm. But there it is. Really, the only thing that kept me warm was the thought of all the peasants we have yet to oppress. Anyway, while sitting around and thinking, I got to thinking about how we're going to do the end of this particular campaign, especially now that the interest is dwindling, and I'm going to take a page out of my little Eltharian mini campaign and skip most of the admin. In that light, you may have noticed that we've advanced, I believe, a couple turns since the last episode, and that was pretty much all building, and auto-resolving and moving armies around. Really nothing. There was only one battle involved, and it was the battle for the Dragonhorn Mines, and even then, it was mostly done just for fun, because it was like an hour and a half of admin, and I needed to do one battle, or I lose my mind. So, we're gonna watch that battle, and we're gonna make the Grail Knights the stars. Here we go.
Fortune favors you!
Alrighty, well, here we go again, and as I said going into the battle, all the trubs took shots at the spawn of corn. They're not going to really do any damage to it, but not to worry, and they will switch their targets shortly. Anyway, as I don't think that this is going to be a particularly difficult battle at all, we're going to screw around a little bit, and since the questing knights have been taking the spotlight, and we currently still have only 2 Grail Knights due to the lack of unit capacity in Tier 5 settlements, we're going to get the Grail Knights to do their thing and dish out as much damage themselves as possible. While we wait for the Grail Knights to get on the field, together with the Fey Enchantress, however, we're going to do a little bit of damage with our other troops. And it looks like the spawn of corn is going to back away rather than fight us directly, but not to worry, I'm sure. And the Grail Knights will find them. And here come the trebuchets and the arrows all going after the enemy spawn of corn. Damn! That shot from the treb right into the screen there. Alright, and it looks like these guys don't want to charge. They'll certainly take a few hits, but obviously, yeah, it looks like the arrows appear to do essentially 1 damage per to a unit, because I think they have basically no armor piercing at all, do they? Yeah, 1 armor piercing damage against shielded units with 120 armor. Not gonna fly. And these are the non-blessed trebuchets as well, so their armor piercing is also quite limited. Not so great against the Cornate units, but not to worry, the Fey Enchantress will be on the field in a few seconds. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit, and yeah, these guys are going to take some arrow shots, but I'm more interested in seeing the melee troops fight. Now let's send in a couple of our units, or a couple of our paladins. Maybe they can do a little bit of fighting with the Furies up in the air. There we go. While the Fey Enchantress moves in as well. Alrighty, Paladins versus Furies, they're not going to let them land, and on top of that, this forces the Furies to hover around while the range units hit them. Unfortunately, the Furies are effectively unarmored, and thus will go down easily to the range fire. Which is nice, because Paladins aren't great at killing more than 1 unit at a time. Alrighty, and then a little bit of missile resistance on them as well from that Shield of Thorns. Lovely. Down go the Furies. I'm actually surprised a few of them are still alive, but not to worry, it won't be for much longer. Alright, in the meantime, Enchantresses moved in. We gotta get the Grail Knights in there as well, which will move in a second. I'm just gonna speed it up once again a little bit while we close the distance and get a little bit of a beachhead going as we essentially put the Defenders of the Realm in each of the enemy choke points. And there we go, finally. And Chaos Warriors of Khorne are moving in, and here come the Grail Knights charging right through them together with the Enchantress. And I'll charge right through and then loop back around to hit those same units right in the back. I think that poor unit of Chaos Warriors of Khorne, regardless of the fact that they have halberds, are already basically doomed. The Enchantress moves in together with her Grail Knights, her Grail companions as it were, to go after an enemy unit of Exalted Bloodletters of Khorne. Although, of course, the latter get hit by an Awakening of the Wood and a little bit from the Blessed Field Trebuchets, which means they're not in great shape. And on top of that, of course, the Grail Knights do magical damage, so they are quite adept at fighting the Bloodletters, Exalted or not. It's Glowing Sword versus Glowing Lance, and I think we gotta give this one to the Lance. Especially with the Enchantress doing damage to them as well. She's up to 19 kills already. Alright, the Exalted Bloodletters are banished. The beachhead continues to grow, but we're not going to go much further than here. These guys are just going to take up the spot while the Enchantress and her companions go a-hunting. And the Paladins are running around somewhere as well. I think I sent them to go in and destroy enemy towers. Yeah, see, this tower is done for now. These now are gonna go after a single enemy spawn of Khorne. Well, they can do that, but we've seen them attack seen them attack things before. I want to watch a little bit more for the Grail Knights. There's the charge. Right through another unit of Exalted Bloodletters, opening up a hole right through their formation and taking about a third of their HP on the charge. Enchantress is going to pop that Shield of Thorns while we get engaged. These are shock cavalry after all. Gotta remember that aspect of it. And regardless of the fact that they're Grail Knights, we do still have to be careful about getting bogged down in a melee. And remember that battle against the Bleak Coast Buccaneers, where a single unit of nice air on that Bloodletter, a single unit of Giant Slayers absolutely wrecked the Grail Knights and took like no damage, so yeah, gotta be careful about getting bogged down against those specialists. Anyway, another unit of Exalted Bloodletters is out, and at least with the Enchantress keeping the Grail Knights healed up, they are just fine. It looks like over on this side we were able to destroy that single unit. And the spawn of Khorne, I mean, and we're going to try to go after and do a little bit of damage to the Blood Shrine if we can, but we can also get out rather than get trapped by all of those other units. Anyway, it looks like we've got more Chaos Warriors of Khorne on the way, and we'll be charging them as well. Right on through. It's almost strange to see that happen to such a heavily armored unit like the Chaos Warriors of Khorne. And well, if it isn't another Chaos spawn. Let's see how quickly we can bring it down. Now these guys are anti-large, of course, the Grail Knights, I mean, as opposed to the anti-infantry of the Grail Guardians. And with their anti-large and their heavy hits, the spawn of Khorne will be going down very, very quick. We will have to be a little bit careful, however, as more enemy units are arriving, and this time it's Halberdier units of Chaos Warriors. We got 36 armor-piercing damage on them, and we got more Bloodletters of the Exalted variety coming in, and plenty more armor-piercing damage where that came from. I really gotta be careful now as the Grail Knights are surrounded, thus we are going to start popping a few spells with the Enchantress. And here comes the bombardment from her Chalice of Potions, which is a Comet of Cassandora, or essentially a Comet of Cassandora. And it looks like that probably did a decent amount of damage. Enchantress is also out in the middle of this, gonna have to be careful, though of course the armor piercing of the enemy is a little bit wasted, as she is relatively unarmored. Over on this side, it looks like the Grail Knights have nearly destroyed this Chaos Warriors of Khorne with dual weapons, but obviously this being an anti-infantry unit, it's a lot less threatening than the Halberdiers and the Exalted Bloodletters. Oh, damn, you gotta love those lances doing their work. And very nice, very nice. Here comes another of our Shields of Thorns, and it looks like we are still holding. Enchantress also doing a great job right in the middle of this fairly scary blob of enemies, though we did have to pop a regrowth on her as she did start to take some damage. And, oh, she's taking damage from the tower as well. Gonna have to knock that out with our paladins. And yeah, I could have sent the paladins in to help the blob here, but I felt this was the Grail Knight's time to shine, and thus we didn't want the paladins doing all the work for them. And there we go, now the dual-handers are out. It's time to deal with the Exalted and, well, I guess the halberds and the greatswords, in the form of the Exalted Bloodletters, I mean. But it looks like the Exalted Bloodletters are also pretty much done. Our companions are all, well, almost all good. We've lost one of the Grail Knights so far. I don't know whether it died here. Oh yeah, it died here. And, looks like the horse ran away. I'm pretty sure his horse should have fought to the death as well with the Grail Knight. But anyway, well done, well done. Another few units cleared out with just these two, and another unit of Chaos Warriors of Khorne moving in. But the battle is looking to be just about ours. It's about 90% in our favor. We did destroy a few units over on this side as well with our Defenders of the Realm and our range units, but we just kept most of the army out to screw around like this. Oh, and it looks like the Chaos Warriors of Khorne are breaking, the enemy lord is breaking, and so are the Exalted Bloodletters, which means the battle is ours. Well, I guess we do still have to destroy the Exalted Bloodletters, as they are demons, and we'll have to wait until they're fully banished. Alright, well, I don't mind watching the lances poke away at a few more of them. There we go, destroyed that barrier, which was slightly in the way. Alright, very nice. So one more Shield of Thorns to help out with that melee damage reflection, and these Exalted Bloodletters are having a pretty bad time. Looks like we'll be at around 200 kills on the Grail Knights. Pretty effective. Hard to say as to whether this is from a time perspective, I guess this is not an efficient way of clearing the settlement. On the other hand, from a damage perspective, considering we essentially lost one unit, at least from these guys, it is very, very efficient. So, a little from column A and a little from column B. Also, we've seen very, very few minor settlement battles in this particular campaign, haven't we? Like, I don't know, I'm pretty sure I can count the number of minor settlement battles we've had in this particular campaign on one hand, which is kind of interesting. Just kind of lined up that way. But anyway. Alrighty, there we go. Not bad, not bad. Certainly not difficult, but also certainly fun, and it's lovely to see the Grail Knights get their due before we get the ones that are going to go into Lewin's army and the additional ones for the Fey Enchantress. In fact, for that particular battle, I've named one of the companions, or one of the Grail Knights, the companions of the Fey, since they fought together. And while I was at it, I added a few trebuchet names as well. So we have the Imbued Holy Grail Thrower, the Tray Catapult in a Trench, Rock and Roll, and the Lady's Skipping Stones, which are all going to go into Alberic's army. Also, over those couple turns, we advanced further into the Isthmus of Lustria up north here, or rather the jungles of Pawalasha, but same thing more or less. And it looks like, unfortunately, Yuan Bo is unlikely to revive. He got destroyed by Mazdamundi here, and I think the Cathians are pretty much done for. And we've similarly advanced into the Badlands with, again, a bunch of auto-resolves other than this particular battle, and continue advancing in the in the Sylvanian territories, we will try to still look for a battle, and that's what I'm going to focus on for the rest of the campaign, since it's more or less uninteresting now to just see me build the same growth buildings and money buildings in every territory. And we're going to try to do our best to advance between screen time, I suppose, just like in my Eltharion campaign, and focus on the fight. So bringing this little outlaw army into battle, and then whatever there are other armies we have that we want to try in fights, rather than wasting time. So in that light, we are going to advance. And advance, a little bit of auto-resolve here against Felman Ingerson. And advance. And advance. And actually, you know what, since the Isle of the Crimson Skull is the last of the territories and belonging to the Cathians, and the only other battle we'll get against them, we will fight them, even if the UN bow isn't here, and just for fun, here we go. Alrighty, battle does indeed call. Here we go, a round 2 for us, and the very last battle for the Jade Court. I don't imagine it'll be too difficult of a fight, but who knows, because we're going to, once again, just like last battle where we screwed around with the Grail Companions, we're going to screw around in this battle as well, which means we're not going to use our Cavalry Knights. We're going to do this the infantry way by going up the walls with the Knights of the Realm. And these are the 4 Knights of the Realm that are foot knights and are thus going to act as dragoons, having the horses carry them forward as close to the enemy as they can, then dismount and then go up the walls. Lovely. There we go. We can also see if the game becomes all screwy due to the commands, and continue testing as to whether this does indeed mess up the replay. Anyway, the towers are getting quickly knocked down. Oh, I love the lighting in this. Towers are getting quickly knocked down by our trebuchets, which is good because they are firing upon our Knights of the Realm. We gotta try to do our best to heal them up. Up on the walls themselves, Alberic and his paladins, apparently minus this one, are doing a decent job damaging the enemy Jade warriors. And, interesting that they're kind of hovering around like this. I don't think this happened either. And I definitely didn't send this paladin to attack these pikes. And Alberic is just hovering, doing nothing. Yeah, okay, so I think this is pretty definitive now. It seems that every time that you actually use the dismount ability of the dismountable knights, the game becomes quite screwy. And yeah, things happen which, like, the orders just completely change for everybody. Or I guess the orders for the AI change, but not for the player, or maybe the player as well. Alberic did get stuck when I actually did play it, but these two never fought down here. They flew up and went after these guys. Interesting. And yeah, Alberic also, when I played it, he did get stuck, but not like this. He actually started floating up, 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 and he just kept going. Like, the skybox apparently for this game is really, really high up. By the end of the battle, you could barely see him. He was all the way up here. It was kind of hilarious, but yeah, I guess we can't see that in the replay, unfortunately, but oh well. Anyway, time for the Foot Knights to move in. And I just out of curiosity, Are the spears that they're using... Yeah, they're different from the lances used by the... by these guys, which is kind of interesting in and of itself. Yeah, let's get some foot squires in there as well, but yeah, these guys are using spears together with their shields. Which kind of makes sense, but on the other hand, I mean, if your knights are dismounted, they're going to use an arming sword as a backup weapon after their lance. Kind of odd looking to have them go from spear to spear, but I guess considering it's a shock cav unit, it does make sense that it changes to sort of using its lance, but I mean, from a realism, quote-unquote, perspective, they would be using their backup sword weapon. But anyway, not like it matters very much. Let's see how well they do up on the walls, especially considering the wonky commands that the dismounting causes. It looks like up here the foot squires are starting to do some damage, 4 kills to their name, though it looks like they've lost a couple of foot squires as well. But that's hardly surprising. We also have the Defenders of the Realm up here, which do have their arming swords as their main weapon, or knightly swords, whatever. And we'll get them to help out here as well, with Alberic's shadow hovering overhead. Did he go up a little bit higher? I think he went up a little bit higher. Is he rising up into the sky now? Very, very slowly. It was much quicker when I played it. But anyway, looks like our paladins are unfortunately stuck down here, but it's not really a big deal. And because, well, that didn't happen in the actual game, or when I actually played it, and B, I don't think the enemies can hurt them very much, or certainly not kill them, because they just heal through whatever damage is dealt. Anyway, we've got new arrivals on the field in the form of the various trebuchets, and they're going to try to knock the sky lanterns out of the sky. Like that previous battle against the Cathians, we've seen that the trebuchets are fairly decent at dealing with the sky lanterns, and certainly they seem to be better at it than the paladins were at knocking them out of the sky, so why not allow them to do it? Especially since the sky lanterns are firing into our units on top of the walls. Oh, it looks like Alberic's come back down, and great for him, and let's get back to the battle up on the walls. Looks like we've lost about 15 of our foot squires fighting against the Jade Warriors here, but they have lost 25 Jade Warriors. And how are the Knights of the Realm doing? None dead so far, and 25 kills to their own name as well. And very, very nice. I'm glad we can see the Knights of the Realm in their foot knight form. At least a little bit. And they do look pretty nice, you gotta admit. And they should just be able to rip apart the Jade Warriors without too much trouble. Oh, it looks like they managed to kill off one of the knights by virtue of the kill count. And hey, on the bright side of Alberic getting stuck, him not participating is making this battle a little bit more difficult. Especially in combination with the fact that we're not bothering to use the various other Knights of the Realm units. And we very well could have. It would have been a very simple matter to knock down the gates with our trebuchets. Alrighty, looks like this portion of the wall is clear and our Defenders of the Realm are good to go. I think in the actual time I played it, they would have moved here or something by this point. But it's okay now. Moving down here now. Yeah, it's completely different. I mean, it's probably going to end the same because the enemy units are just inferior compared to ours, so even with the wonky orders, our units should still be able to obliterate them. And it's still giving us some great shots. At least the part on the wall is happening pretty much exactly as it was supposed to. But I think the foot squires got a little bit more hurt up on the wall here than they did when I played it, but close enough. Yeah, I just gotta make sure not to dismount any troops in a very big, important battle, and just keep it to sort of the minor battles. Anyway, it looks like the Knights of the Realm foot have cleared their portion of the wall. The foot squires are still fighting, and we got the Defenders of the Realm and down below the walls. And we'll hopefully join them with the rest of these units as soon as the rest of the Jade Warriors are clear. And yeah, the Jade Warriors are getting absolutely wrecked here, but you certainly shouldn't underestimate Jade Warriors. They are very, very effective units for their cost. Oh, and there we go, going to the other portion of the wall. I distinctly remember when I was actually playing the battle, there was a unit here that these guys tried to chase down, but apparently not needed here. And that's alright, let's switch to the Defenders of the Realm as they continue to fight the enemies below the ramparts. Alberic continuing to hover overhead, but certainly he'll just heal out any damage that the enemy deal to him. And I think these guys at this point were still fighting, so they won't come down yet. And there's clearly a unit. There was a unit here, but as you can see, the orders don't match up with that. Alright, it's okay, they'll get charged by some more Jade Warriors, and the charge allowed them to kill one. How rude. Not to worry though, the Knights of the Realm should be able to take care of them again. Alrighty, and now we're getting off those ramparts. There we go. Alright, charge into the fray once more. Looks like we've also managed to knock down one of the units of the Sky Lanterns. And are now focusing down the other one. And Defenders of the Realm still holding, Paladins still in the middle of the fray, and let's see. Oh, not bad actually. 90 kills. Only more than I was expecting, and 9,000 damage and 73 kills on you. Not too bad at all. Certainly less than the Defenders of the Realm, but considering they're meant for single entities, by which I mean the Paladins are meant for single entities, that's pretty darn good. And they're certainly doing work. And there we go, starting to just mob the enemy now. Bit of an all melee action kind of thing this time around. And I mean melee infantry action. But it's nice to see as compared to just always seeing the cavalry knights. This time we've got plenty of foot knights, whether it be the Defenders of the Realm or the Knights of the Realm foot. And I guess we've seen the Questing Knight's foot version with Rapunzel a few times. And I'm not sure that the Grail Knights and such are able to dismount at all, though I haven't checked. Maybe they are. But I think there's probably no need to do so. Although I suppose if we put them together with the Hermit Knights, which are the legendary unit, the Hermit Knights are always on foot. We could always dismount some Grail Knights / Guardians to act on foot with them. I don't know. Alright, anyway, how are we doing here? Jade Lancers trying to break their way through the Defenders of the Realm, and the Defenders are taking damage, but of course, they are a summoned unit, so we just don't care that much. And it looks like some Knights of the Realm foot are taking a teensy bit of damage here as well, having lost 3 units now, instead of the 1. And very much are in the fray here, surrounded by Jade Warriors. Over on this side, we have plenty more units, and we're chasing the enemy up the ramp now. Looks like the Sky Lantern will be out of here soon, and I think the battle will be ours soon as well. As we can see, a lot of the units have essentially stopped attacking for a little bit. This is due to the wonky orders, because when I played it, the orders were given to move over here, but at this point all of these units down here were dead. Hence the buggy nature of this. Oh, at least these guys are still fighting though. Well, you just keep on fighting until the game decides that this battle is in fact over. But yeah, I think at this point we've definitely seen this bug happen enough times, and specifically only where the dismounted knight units are used to draw the conclusion that it is in fact that, and that is completely screwing up the replays. It may even be a known bug, I'm not sure. I haven't read the list of known bugs, and to be fair, it's... oh, there we go. The Jade Court Pyrrhic Victory. Okay, replay. Okay. Obviously, the replay here is nuts, but yeah, it's due to the buggy nature of the replay. What I was saying was it's a fairly low use case, as 99.9% of people who actually download the mod are probably not watching their own replays of it, at least are doing so very rarely. Useful for uploading on YouTube, not so useful for just playing yourself, I would imagine. But anyway, Pyrrhic Victory, but really not. Alrighty, weird bugs aside, an easy enough battle, and great job to the various foot knights of the realm, though interestingly enough, it looks like the foot knights of the realm actually did less damage than the foot squires. It could be a matter of veterancy, and it could also be a matter of the sheer number of units within these formations, but it makes me wonder whether we should swap out the foot knights for foot squires instead. We'll compare them a little bit more in field battles against the dark elves, but for now, who are you, Lorraine? Oh, you're yeah, okay. You don't need that. And a legend for Alberic. He was always a legend. Unbreakable, weapon strength plus 20 and melee attack plus 10. Pretty insane buffs you get for that sort of thing. Enemy killed, and Jade Court destroyed. There it is. And there it is. And just so I don't forget, you lose that Talisman of Endurance. And you move out of the Crimson Skull Isle and then go into Channeling Stance because you basically have no mana once again. Alrighty, to me that looks like we're good to end the turn and advance. Yes, it's all good, so let us continue. Oh, commandment available in the new territory. And you know what, there is probably some other admin work to do, so we'll do it off screen and then end the turn, and then we will continue to advance. Alright, admin done. Let's see if anything actually interesting happens over this end turn. And ooh, Scarbrand's going to try to do a bit of a sneaky attack on Yasmina. I'm pretty sure we can back her off though. And then he'll have to attack Marie. And this is probably the last time we will ever see Scarbrand, so considering he'll be destroyed, let's watch the peasants destroy him. Oh damn, I was hoping I could hear the Tomb Kings make their speech. Anyway, technically here, Scarbrand is attacking our allies, as in he decided to attack the settlement rather than us, which does make sense, as I do believe Gorgazan has actually been destroyed at this point. Or not Gorgazan, Death Gorge has been destroyed at this point because there were two of Cetra's armies that were moving up to it. That means Scarbrand has no choice but to attack because Death Gorge was his last settlement, and thus if he loses here, his faction will be destroyed. Now, the issue is that our allies don't have a lot of troops on the field, and we have over 7 minutes from the start until our units get on the field. We gotta make sure that we can try to get to the Victory Plaza, essentially, and hold the enemy off. Some weird battles today, or at least to start off this episode, but hey, they're not the only battles that we'll have. Anyway, Bloodletters are going to start climbing the walls very slowly. Man, you guys can climb faster. You're demons. Is it me, or do they seem to be climbing quite slow? I assume it's all just standard climbing speed, but I don't know. I feel like a Bloodletter should probably be able to climb faster than a unit in super heavy armor or a peasant. Not that it really matters in any way, but anyway. The Bloodletters have made their way up the wall, and they will be fighting against some Nehekara warriors here. Great swords versus dual swords. And now the Nehekara warriors are doing a decent job at knocking the Bloodletters out. I'm actually pleasantly surprised by that. They do have high weapon strength and are a fairly decent unit as well. Though I am surprised mostly because of the physical resistance on the Bloodletters, but it's only, what, 20 or 30%, isn't it? Let's see. Bloodletters, it is 20%, yeah. So these guys are still able to hold them off, at least for a while, though unfortunately for them, there will be more Bloodletters making their way up the other side of the wall, and then they will be able to reinforce or head down here. Skarbrand is also working his way through the gate. He's made his way through 1/3 of it so far, and is going to continue until he's through. And of course, nothing that our allies have can actually kill or probably even hurt Skarbrand. Up here we have the enemies have completely blitzed the walls. They're making their way through the other gate fairly quickly with the bloodletters, and it looks like they're going to start making their way into the city proper fairly soon. Well, not great for our allies, but what can you do? Looks like the Nehekara warriors are also abandoning this portion of the wall, or at least tried to abandon this portion of the wall before being engaged by a single bloodletter, and are probably now going to get ripped apart. Alright, certainly wasn't expecting to be watching demons fighting undead in this Bretonnian campaign. But I'm hardly going to complain about it. Alrighty, Nehekara warriors are now melting away, and as the other side has been broken through, I'm just going to speed it up a little bit until the enemy makes their way a little bit more into the city. And alrighty, Bloodletters X2 are down here now, fighting against some Nehekara horsemen, as well as some skeleton horsemen as well. And it looks like the first of the enemy units will begin to melt away. But the horsemen are quite fragile, so they'll have to be careful lest the second unit do too much damage to them. Though on the other hand, the Bloodletter's armor piercing is more or less being wasted on the Nehekara horsemen, well, on the skeleton horsemen, who are of only 20 armor. The Nehekara horsemen at 50, it's not wasted. Alrighty, we also have some sepulchral stalkers on the field, getting those snaky shotgun blasts that they like to do into the enemy marauders. And let's see if the marauders give them a charge. No, it looks like they want to reinforce the bloodletters against the piles of horses. Kind of makes sense. It looks like because the bloodletters were pressed up against the walls here, they're getting quite wrecked. Oh, and it looks like not the bloodletters, the marauders have changed their minds and are going to try to go for those shotgun blasting sepulchral stalkers, though they're taking quite a bit of damage as they run towards them, and in fact can't seem to make up their minds, stalling on their way as they try to recover their unit cohesion. You better move forward, they're gonna keep destroying you. Alrighty, well, I can see why Skarbrand might be upset at his own troops, because they're not really achieving much, but the gate is nearly down. One more hit, and there it goes. And even though the Bloodletters and the Marauders are pretty much out of ammunition on the Sepulchral Stalkers as well, Skarbrand will make it into the city. And thus he can probably kill pretty much everything here by himself. Certainly no Nehekara warrior or Nehekara horseman or skeleton horseman are going to be of any kind of issue to him. And the anti-large of the Sepulchral Stalkers would come in handy, but it would be a lot better if they had some infantry. And damn, Skarbrand brought down 3, I think, with a single blow, 3 or 4. Yeah, would have been nice for them to have some skeleton warriors or spears to act as a meat shield as the Sepulchral Stalkers get absolutely bodied here. Down to less than half HP and half of their units already. And it looks like the skeleton horses just got a few more of those bloodletters to kill. How are we doing on this side? Oh, it looks like our units have arrived on the field, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but we did get the Defenders of the Realm summoned onto the field, but right here, at the Victory Plaza, which is kind of interesting. Not what... Maybe it was because all of our units were arriving on the field here at the same time and they blocked the summoning of those units? On the other hand, it seems kind of poignant that it did get summoned on the Victory Plaza specifically. Well, that is certainly helpful, because our allies are certainly not going to be able to hold that Victory Plaza, and we're going to have to do it for them. Skarbrand continues making his way through the various Tomb King units. Ooh, nice fire breath, saw plenty of units both rocked by it and destroyed by it. And it's nice that Skarbrand gets to show off a little bit, as this is his last stand. If he dies here, his faction will be destroyed, so he'll never get another fight. Alrighty, a few of his marauders come back in very briefly, but rout right before him. And man, I almost feel like if any of his own units rout near Skarbrand, Skarbrand should turn hostile to his own units. And frankly, the same would probably be true of various Khornate units, I would think. Like Chosen of Khorne, I would also kind of expect to start attacking their own allies if their allies started to rout. Alrighty, and I believe that might have been the second last Sepulchral Stalker. One more to go, I think, if I can select it. Okay, I can't select it, but I guess it doesn't matter as it begins to crumble away. Charges back in bravely. And, no, still alive. And get that halberd going. Maybe get a few more hits in there before Skarbrand brings it down, or maybe not. And let's see, well, there we go. Down goes the last of the Sepulchral Stalkers. Skarbrand still has about 80% of his HP. But hey, they at least did a little bit of damage to him. Up here, it looks like we've joined the fight as well, as the enemy tried to move towards the Victory Plaza, sending Chaos Warhounds and Bloodletters in alike. Fortunately, the Defenders of the Realm, together with our single Prophetess, are going to hold. We're going to pop an Awakening of the Wood to do a little bit of extra damage on the enemy Bloodletters, and now we're going to hope that we can hold the Victory Plaza and prevent the enemy from capturing it. Looks like 2 units of Hounds and 2 units of Bloodletters versus 2 units of Defenders of the Realm, plus our Prophetess, but fortunately we do have the heals and the Awakening of the Wood to keep us here. The unfortunate aspect of this would be, of course, if the enemy were able to capture it, regardless of the fact that we're standing on it and defending it. The Victory Plaza capturable location, I mean. Alrighty, well, it looks like the enemy Chaos Warhounds are done for. And it's now just the Bloodletters. Over on this side, our main forces arrived on the field, just piles upon piles of men-at-arms and peasant bows. There was not much in the way of enemies, just a single marauder standing in their way, so they're going to try to make their way towards the fight. There's another Awakening of the Wood coming in, and it looks like the Defenders of the Realm with the Prophetess are going to be able to hold the Bloodletters off. Man, imagine if the Victory Plaza had gotten captured and the enemy had just 1 life of those. And just because it had taken us so long to get onto the field. But yeah, 7 minutes until the reinforcements came in. Not much to say about this right now, just a good old-fashioned melee. Not very tactically interesting, but it is always fun to watch melee units trade blows. Alrighty, Prophetess does have to be careful, as she will get ripped apart if not. She's already at half HP. Looks like one of the Bloodletter units is just about done as well, and our Wavering End will begin to be banished shortly. We're going to rear charge the enemy as well with our Prophetess, just for a second to get that morale shock in and force that unit of Bloodletters to begin their banishment. Pop another Awakening Wood in there as well, in the hopes of getting the second unit into banishment as well, though it looks like it's not quite there. A 3rd unit of Chaos Warhounds arrives, charging into the back of the Defenders of the Realm, but the Defenders of the Realm continue to hold. Gotta love this unit. Definitely the 25k, I believe, that we invested into this particular technology was very, very worth it. And those warhounds are big. And they're tiny compared to flesh hounds. Alrighty, and it looks like the second unit of bloodletters is just about done. They're shaking, though not wavering, but I'm sure that will soon change. Skarbrand is making his way into the settlement, but now we've got piles of our own men-at-arms arriving. And they should be able to hold Skarbrand off. We've seen Skarbrand destroyed in several battles already where he got focused down by peasant arrow fire, and we've got all of our peasants with all of those arrows that were unused this battle. So they can focus every single one of them on Skarby himself.
It shall be.
Alrighty, and the bloodletters are just about done, and then Skarbrand will be alone. Well, actually, they're still shaken, but now here comes another charge. I need to apply blinded to them as well. Melee defense and melee attack minus 15. That's actually pretty darn significant. Melee defense drops to a mere 13 with the blinded on the bloodletters. Gotta say, that's a very nice contact effect. And that is why I would, that is why I was not teching, but upgrading our elite units to have that immunity to contact effects thing. There's some very, very nasty contact effects, especially when they get combined with others, and with spells. Lots of ways to get plenty of units down to basically 0-0 in melee attack and defense. Anyway, it looks like the bloodletters are done. Skarby is... Oh, Skarbrand has arrived and is now attacking our men-at-arms here. Fortunately, the Defenders of the Realm can finish off the bloodletters up there. And while I'm sure Skarbrand will do decent damage to these men-at-arms, he's not going to be able to get through near enough of them. And in the meantime, our peasant bows are taking position, all of which we will use to hit Skarby. We've also passed the 5-minute mark, I believe, so the Grail Relic can activate its holy presence and give everybody magical attacks. Specifically, all of those arrows will turn into magical damaging arrows. There we go, starting to hit Skarbrand with range attacks now, and I believe he's the last unit on the field. Last unit of his faction, a last unit on the field as well. Rage Embodied, what is that? Melee defense minus 10 and rampage. Well, it's going to cause a few of our units to rampage, but whatever. Fire arrows, oh guys, come on. A lot of those were thunking into our own units rather than the enemy. There's that holy presence, imbuement to magical attacks, and suddenly Skarbrand's going to lose massive amounts of HP. A few more seconds and down he shall go. And there we go. Skarbrand in a hail of arrow fire will breathe his last, and by fire he falls, into fire he will return in, you know, Khorne's realm, though I don't think Papa Khorne is gonna be all that happy with him now that his faction got destroyed, especially considering the amount of times he got defeated by peasants. And that includes Rapunzel, because she's a peasant as well. But anyway. Alrighty, funny little fight. I hope we still get the defeat trait for bailing out our Kemrian friends. I wonder if it would have been better if we had actually denied the attack and then retaken the place and then traded it to Kemri. But anyway, Skarbrand, I do believe that was your last. Let's get the ransom captives trait up on Marie, and I guess Le Chasseur is an apt name for her, considering she was able to hunt down Skarbrand. No, we're not going to join the war against the exiles of Nehek. And let's see if anything else interesting happens, attack-wise, I mean. Marcus, you are still alive. You want military access. I don't think so. You should get military access with the Itza Lizardmen. And what is this? You're attacking Fort Oberstyre. Oh, would you look at that? 2 stacks. We may destroy it with Louen. I'll think about it. Depends on where they go afterwards. And they're not actually going to destroy Fort Oberstyre, they're just going to sack it. Well, they can keep doing that sort of thing, but it ain't gonna be all that helpful. Alright, hey, another Blood Quencher. Own army's faction-wide weapon strength. Fantastic. All those Scarbrand defeat traits are really adding up. Ally attacks army, and technology research to upkeep reduction for non-knight units, putting us up to nearly 30k. Errantry of the Realm 2 completed, and now we need... They want us to make 35 Knights of the Realm to complete this? Huh. I mean, 100% income from settlement buildings, eh? That ain't bad. Might be worth it. And we could just delete them or put them into a little secondary temporary army. Now, we probably have some admin to do, but I think we'll be taking on Azag the Slaughterer with Louen, or these 2 stacks. Though this is kind of pathetic in terms of what the enemy has army-wise. Would they wouldn't be able to take Castle Tempelhof. They would be able to take Schwarzhofen, however. I don't know, I'll think about it, but let's do a little bit more admin off screen and come back to more advancing. Alright, moves made, and we are now also recruiting the super elites of the faction. 3 Grail Knights here, as well as the legendary unit, the Hermit Knights, Royal Hippogriff Knights, Grail Guardians, and Royal Pegging Knights. Pegasus Knights, Pegasus Knights, Pegasus Knights. Anyway, we are going to attack Wurzag, right, or not Wurzag, Azag the Slaughterer here, mostly because I figure if we leave these armies alive, it might allow the outlaw army to actually hunt them down. They will probably destroy Schwarzhofen, but it is what it is. Louen, away you go, bud. Let's go after Azag here, and we should still have some move range remaining to go southward. And what are we facing off against? A Wa with a bunch of gobos. We got a Lava Arachnarok, a Feral Wyvern, certainly some fun stuff in here to be taken care of. A decent amount of trolls, as well as Azag himself, and he's on Skull Muncha, so we should be able to get a nice aerial duel between him and Louen. Away we go. Alrighty, here we go, Azag with a full stack and his Wa, but I think we all know that it just won't be enough. He may have his crown and the ability to summon the Bony Boy's undead units, but he is merely a pretender to the power of the vampires, and we faced a lot scarier vampire stacks than him. Anyway, looks like he's gonna get a Gaze of Nagash off on Louen, and Louen arrives to start ripping him apart. There's the Bony Boys summoned below him. I just want to take a quick look at them, and oh, they're, looks like they're face textures are broken. Or are those supposed to be armor plates in the front? I can't quite tell. Yeah, I think the skull's texture might be broken. Not that it makes much of a difference. Anyway, you could just say that it's a full armor faceplate. And it's also kind of interesting that they have the shoulder pads and the helmets, but none of the other armor. But it certainly makes them easily pick-outable as Orky units. But anyway, Lowen's facing off against Azag in the air, and it looks like Azag will be the worse for wear. Well, obviously he has no chance against Louen, who just gets so hard. Those are some damn scary stats. Over on this side, we have the Paladins, including Henri, facing off against a regular Feral Wyvern, while the rest of our army begins to move forward towards the enemies. Here comes Lowen's Lions, leading from the front. And, oh, they stopped their charge for some reason. I wonder why that happened. Well, either way. And they're going to start their charge, and the Ragnarok is going to move in. Looks like Azag is basically done for, and one more hit from Louen will bring him down, flailing to the ground as he goes. And the charge of the army is in, and the bounce power rapidly shifts in our favor to about 65, closing in on 70%. Our paladins are going to start going after the lava Ragnarok, which is already in fact broken. Damn. I guess it didn't like Azag melting away. And the balance of power continues to creep forward. Man, it looks like the leadership of this army is just not going to be enough. Look at all those units routing and shattering so damn quick. I do believe we won't need to cycle charge. And this one charge should be sufficient, especially since the lava Ragnarok just melted away. There are a couple of units of Black Orcs in here, which will have brought down a few of our knights with their great axes. But they're basically the only scary units. There's one here, and I believe there's one over on this side as well. And these are the sword and board variety, however. Oh, I like the yellow armor. It's quite nice. Very nice and visible, though it'll be very much red armor in a few seconds as more knights charge into their flanks and rear, and it looks like this unit is wavering. Indeed, the entire enemy army is wavering, shattering, and done for. And it looks like that lava Ragnarok, after shattering or wavering or losing its leadership right at the start of the battle, was never able to recover it due to being completely surrounded by the various knights. Alrighty. Well, easy little fight. Just gotta take care of the bony boys here. What are their stats like? 33-17? Yeah, seems that they have a decent amount of attack, and here comes the Green Knight, leading some Pegasus Knights into the fray. I just want to see these guys knocked out, since we don't get to see zombie or skeleton orcs all that often. Alright, down they go. Ooh, nice air on that. Oh wow, it almost looked like a little almost looks like the knight got air on that one skeleton, and then it got passed to Louen, and then Beaky kicked it. At least that's what it looked like to me. And also, we technically had reinforcements in this particular battle with the Dryads and stuff, Draika's faction, but they just never got to make it onto the field since the enemy army routed so quickly. Alrighty, very nice indeed, and quite definitive against Azag there. Louen destroyed him one-on-one, and the rest of the army didn't need to cycle charge, which generally means that the enemy army was a little bit too weak. Though, of course, we have to remember that the enemy army was in march stance, and that vigor loss is just absolutely massive of a reduction in SFO. We're going to take the ransom captives, because it is a decent amount of cash. This will hopefully make Draika a little bit happier as well, and a spell resistance and leadership aura size. Don't usually particularly care about the leadership aura size, but considering the buffs Bretonians already get towards this, it should actually be pretty insane on Louen. Speaking of Louen, we're going to put you into march stance, and we should try to move you somewhere off of this. I guess briefly we'll want to return to around Castle Templehof. We could try to go this way. You know what, let's go this way, actually. I'd like to get a little bit closer to Russian. Oh, I forgot to leech XP with Malene here. That's mildly problematic. We should also be careful about Malene getting killed here. You know what, we're going to pop you into Castle Templehof, and then just sit there and then hope that that is going to hold if both of these armies attack. I doubt that they do, but you never know. Alrighty, I believe we're done with the buildings and the moves and whatnot, so let's get another end turn going. Outposts available I think we're building all the ones that we wanted to build, and the unfortunate aspect of the slower growth and the fact that the AI doesn't focus on growth is the fact that most territories are still tier 4, so we don't have access to a lot of the fancier units via the outpost system yet, so Altdorf is tier 4, which means no tanks, it means no demigriffs, and it means no Hellblasters or Hellstorms. Lothern is still a tier 3, so no fancy elven units or dragons. Gaian Vale is also a tier 3, so no fancy, well, also elven units. But yeah, most factions are that way. Camry is finally tier 4, though, so hopefully they build some of the... some of the bigger construct buildings, though the biggest construct buildings are tier 5 for Camry in particular, but nonetheless, they're getting there. Anyway, let's end the turn, see if anything interesting here. And Karazak, oh, finally, the Disciples of the Maw will declare war, sort of, on us. So this is pretty good and pretty big, because this means that the Ogres are probably going to be the last major faction that we destroy. They are the, I think, 4th strongest faction in the entire game right now, as in, of the factions that remain. The second one, I believe, was Avalorn, and then there's Reichland, we're first, and then I think there's the Ogres. So, we're not going to encounter a bigger enemy than the Ogres, both in the sense of actually their units and in the sense of their factions. So, great. Enter Warren side of Ally, and this also means we will have something for our outlaws to do, as they can hunt Ogre just as well as they hunt the... just as well as they hunt the vampire counts. Alright, let's see if we can get another battle going here. Oops, all battles kind of episode. And Tauber, you're going to attack Fort Oberstar again. Okay, are you going to actually take it, or are you just going to... Yep, they're going to take it. Okay, great. We can attack both those armies then. I think the Outlaw army might be too far for that, but we can hopefully find some. 15 turns of plus 25 growth, that's nice. And 75% income from trade tariffs. I'm gonna have to go with the growth, I think. The trade tariffs alone are probably not a big enough contribution to this. Growth is just too great. Even though it hurts to give stuff to the peasants. I'm gonna grumble about it, but I'm gonna do it. Alrighty, and there's gonna be a bunch of notifications. Royal Pegasus for Bohemond, and okay. I see Queekhead Taker, who we're also at war with, and Boilerin nearby, so there's potential battles there. And, if we really wanted to, we could land in Matorka and try to fight Bellygut, but the problem is, I'm pretty sure Azag's main stack was here in Akendorf just a little while ago, and we currently don't know where it is. Not sure that the risk is worth it, but I will think about it. And while I think I'm gonna do some more admin, and then we'll come back to it once we get another battle going. Now let's continue advancing. Alright, screw it. I don't know where Azag's full stack is, but I think this battle will be too good to pass up. So we're gonna attack the Ogres here with both armies, of course. So you are going to encircle, and we're going to get the reinforcement army in, and then we're gonna hope that Azag isn't somewhere here, wherein he'll just attack us with a bunch of other armies. Or if he does, we'll hope that we can actually pull that one off. Anyway, you go to sea, please, and then land... No. Land...
Sorceress.
Right. Would you... Lag. Thank you. I guess I could land right here. Will this actually work? I'll find out. And yes, you can land, and yes, you can reinforce. Fantastic. Pyrrhic victory. A ton of ogre bulls. The gorgers are always a frightening unit to deal with. The 3 units of bloodbelchers are going to be a problem, and obviously the man-eaters with ogre pistols pretty much always are, especially against our peasants. Well, let's see what we can do. Alrighty, here we go. Ogres, my lord. Finally, we are at war with Azag, so we should hopefully get some interesting fights against them, especially I'm very interested to see how the peasant armies will fare against the ogre armies, as they are generally pretty damn good at mincing infantry. I think they would have a lot tougher time against armies like Lewin's, but I think we won't send Louen down here. We'll have the other armies deal with Azag. Otherwise, Louen does all the work. And his army is obnoxiously strong after all. Anyway, we're gonna start the battle off with our blessed field trebuchets, I should say, and doing their thing. Gonna see how much damage they can deal to the enemy lead belchers, who are by far the biggest threat on the field. Otherwise, we're just going to continue firing away with the trebs until the enemy is sufficiently annoyed to come to us, especially considering the fact that we have reinforcements coming in 40 seconds, and we may as well allow them to get on the field. Anyway, we've seen trebuchets fire many a time, so let's allow them to do so a little bit. I'm just going to speed it up while the enemy closes the distance. Looks like a couple casts are going to come off, and here they come. Alrighty, away go the paladins, peeling away from the main line, as they do have those lead belchers to distract. We don't want them just firing on our vulnerable units. The peasant mobs and whatever knightly units we have are going to have to hold against the ogres, however. And there we go. There's the Knights of the Realm, there's the regular peasant mobs charging right into the ogres, and I'm sure the ogres are grateful because there are so many peasants that make up a mob, so many meals to have. If anything, Azag should be thanking us. Alrighty, and we have sent the Grail Knights forward, as obviously the all of these piles of ogres hitting this unit of peasants, the Workers' Revolution in this particular case, would have ripped that unit apart. However, the Knights are not very threatened, let's say, and by these piles of ogres, and can certainly hold the line and anchor the peasants in place. Over on this side, it looks like some of the enemies have tried to flank us, and we've sent a few of our units, led by the hungry peasants and the madmen of the lady, as well as Brother Maynard, who is our Grail Relic, who can hopefully hold off the enemies on this side, while we continue waiting for our other reinforcements to move into position. Fortunately, we now have 8 Knights Errant on the field, and while the Knights Errant may be weak, and they should certainly be strong enough to deal with some ogre bulls, especially by charging them into the back. Alrighty, and once again, one of the lovely things about the Blessed Field Trebuchets is that they do no damage to allied units, so especially when the ogres blob up, and we can fire on them and dish out plenty of damage. You do have to watch out for the enemy Gorgers, however, as they're quite great damage dealers. And they should be able to mince our regular infantry without too much trouble, though of course the Grail Knights should be able to take care of them without much trouble as well. Alrighty, man, the fights against the ogre units look so different compared to the fights that we normally do. And I'm very happy with it so far. Alright, it also looks like a pretty darn big battle. We are engaged with enemies all over the place, as the armies have essentially lost their cohesion, and the battle has devolved into a pile of lots of little skirmishes. There we go, the Knights Errant are finally joining the fray, as the 2 units of Iron Guts, the heavier of the enemy ogre units, have decided to flank us. Not to worry, we managed to pin them against peasants, whether it be the battle pilgrims or the peasant mobs, and the Knights Errant should be able to rip them apart by hitting them in the back. Alright, looks like a very large battle line this time around. And the Knights of the Realm are running around trying to apply their heavy damage wherever they can. Looks like we've managed to force the enemy main line, or the center at the very least, to collapse, and are just going to bring down the last of the enemy Gorgers here, which of course are unbreakable and have to be destroyed to a unit. Over on this side, it looks like the enemy man-eaters with ogre pistols are still holding, but the main portion of the enemy army that decided to flank us has failed. Looks like we're also going after the enemy Slaughtermaster now and have run a bunch of peasants, including the unwashed masses and the Holy Wardens of La Maison Tal, towards the Lead Belchers, as the Paladins are no longer distracting them. And we gotta bring them down the old-fashioned way, with hundreds and hundreds of pitchforks and shovels. Alrighty, and at the very least, the Paladins should be pretty happy fighting ogres, because the ogres don't have very high model counts. And thus the Paladins should be able to dish out plenty of damage. Here comes that unit of Man-Eaters with Ogre Pistols. Looks like both Man-Eaters with Ogre Pistols were sent to this rightmost flank, whereas both units of Iron Guts were on the other flank, but it looks like the Man-Eaters got completely mobbed by Knights Errant, and the other units will be destroyed by themselves. Alrighty, looks like the balance of power has shifted to about 90% in our favor. The last of the enemy units is this Man-Eater with Ogre Pistol unit, and it looks like they're going to book it on out of there. And even when they run, they bowl those peasants over, but since this is a settlement battle, we don't need to chase them, which is a great thing, because the ogres run so fast that the peasants would have no chance in chasing them down, and even the Knights Errant would have a difficult time of it. Alrighty, very nice. Got to love facing off against ogres with mobs of inferior units, though of course our 2 units of Grail Knights absolutely anchored our line, ranking up 120 kills and 91 kills and about 50,000 damage on both, very even between the Knights of Ni and the Companions of the Fae. I take it that the... oh, and in fact the one that got less kills did more damage dealt as gold. Probably it got more kills that were ogres or higher value ogres, like Engorgers or like probably Iron Guts, since that was on the leftmost flank, and then the other one did. Anyway, very, very nice. Obviously it's a settlement, and we are going to take it. Not that we really need it at this point in the game, but nonetheless. We shall see whether the enemy attacks us in reprisal, and we will also channel on you, and you know what, you can sit in the settlement. I mean, the 5 mana probably won't make enough of a difference for us to care. Alrighty, let's see if we've got ourselves a little bit more admin, and another battle, I'm sure, to be found this turn. Man, this episode is gonna take so long to edit and stitch together, and yeah, it's gonna take like, I don't know, overall like 5 or 6 hours to record probably, but anyway, hopefully it'll be worth the time. Alrighty, with the ogres defeated at Matorka, we're going to start setting up the next turn. Most of this I've done, but we got a little bit more to do. First of all, Malene, you're just gonna quickly go right here, and Louen, we're just gonna quickly auto-resolve these 2 garbage stacks. They're really not worth fighting because, honestly, Skeleton Warriors tier 1 units, maybe if Louen's army was all peasant mobs I'd bother, but not against this. Auto-resolve this real quick. Like so, and oh wow, what the heck? That did way more damage than I was expecting, but no, what can you do? Okay, and of course Isabella will survive, but that's the AI's The Dead Rise. Luck not... oh, we got a potion of healing, though. Now, that's a nice pickup, but we can't give it to Louen because he has the mane of the pure breed. No, oh well. Louen, I also noticed that you're losing a massive amount of mana, so let's +2. -20 to +2, oh my. Okay, well, you go into Fort Oberstar, both of you, and you can lose that terrifying Mask of E because it gives you nothing. Then we're gonna take you, and we're gonna continue on this path, but not directly to Averheim. I'd like you to go right here-ish, and just sit here. If I'm correct, this guy will probably attack the Outlaw Army. And yeah, we could directly attack Aberheim, and yes, we could win this. I just don't think it would be a fun battle. Do we want to watch the 7 Outlaw units and the War Wagons and the Trebuchets just using their range firepower on these guys behind the walls until every single thing behind the walls is dead without any glorious melee combat? I don't think so. It'll be like 20 minutes of just watching these guys throw arrow after arrow or shoot arrow after arrow at them, with obviously the reload of the munitions from the war wagon. So you're gonna wait here, and then, if I'm also correct, Rapunce, you will probably get attacked as soon as we end the turn by this pile of units, and depending on whether the other rats can close the distance, we may also get attacked by all of these guys. So Rapunce is in for an interesting time, if nothing else. Just double checking the items she has are all fine. I think pretty much everybody's items are fine, so not a big deal. You could maybe use a talisman, but I don't think we have any spares that aren't on lords, so it's time to end the turn. Commandment available is what? Oh. Realm of Chivalry for you, Northern Sylvania? Oh. Can we upgrade Schwarzhafen? No, I guess we cannot. Oh, and in fact, we probably don't want to upgrade Schwarzhafen because it would likely get destroyed. Alright, that's fine. And, okay, this is all being built. Everything is okay. Valor, we could spend the next turn. Let's end the turn and see if I'm correct about this and about Rapunce. 1 second. I think I did everything, but this is becoming a somewhat confusing episode where I, not doing the best job of keeping track of what I've done, but I think that's everything. Good. Alright, let's see what we got here. Settlement besiege, Caracaz... What? Huh. Okay, I wasn't expecting this. Huh. Okay, this may be a problem depending on whether the vampires attack us immediately after the ogres attack us. Can we win this? Valiant defeat, eh? We have a level 1 lord and a peasant army with our outlaws. Well, win or lose, it should be a pretty interesting fight. Let's take the war banner and give it to... Reload time reduction, eh? And weapon strength. Well, in a pinch we could make the outlaws fight in melee, but I'm inclined to say the reload would be better on one of the war wagons, which are great against ogres and against single entities. So that's what we'll do. Here we go. Alrighty, here we go. I guess it's not all ogre now, because we are gonna get a second battle against the ogres, and on top of that we have our outlaws on the field, so we'll get to see how effective they're going to be here with their arrows. Now, their arrows are relatively low in terms of armor piercing, but fortunately the regular ogre bulls are extremely vulnerable to non-armor piercing missile fire, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal, even if the units of Iron Fists are going to be a little bit more of an issue. On top of that, the outlaws have the backing of the war wagons, which should supply their munitions in case they run out of, well, arrows, and then on top of that provide a very nice amount of shield breaker and missile strength in general to kill enemy single entities and low entity units, like most ogre units are. I think it'll work out fairly well. At least I hope so. And plus we have snipe, we have stalk, and we have fire while moving on the outlaws, so at the very least this first little army is definitely going to be in trouble. And I also think thematically speaking, considering the knights think that the gunpowder is cowardly and unchivalrous to use, it makes sense for our outlaw army to have the gunpowder unit. And if we manage to get to the Reichlanders to tier 4, I'll probably build some of the some of the Hellstorm rocket batteries in this particular army, rather than the field trebuchets, as they would probably be much more useful / effective. Anyway, here come those war wagons. The various outlaws continue to move forward and continue annoying the enemy to fairly decent effect. Looks like we've already managed to move 3 enemy units off the field. And the enemy can't even see us because we're all in stock, though of course they can see the war wagons now, they couldn't see us before. Alright, keep on firing. This actually feels kind of mean. Just bullying the enemy here. But hey, this does also make sense, as this is absolutely the way the outlaws would fight. Alrighty, and it looks like the enemy has gotten sufficiently annoyed now to start moving towards us. Another 2 units are basically destroyed and are going to start moving off the field, but more units are now arriving. The reinforcements are here, and they're going to give chase to us together. Looks like enemies have moved close enough to us for us to get hit with a flock of doom, and we're going to start backing away. Very nice shot from those war wagons, bringing that ogre down. And the war wagons will run and hopefully distract the enemy while we put our outlaws into better positions and then continue supporting the war wagons in their flight. Alright, definitely have to be careful with the war wagons, though. They have a very bad tendency to get trapped by blocking each other, like even a single unit can block itself. Which is quite the shame. Alright, very nice. Staggering some of those ogre units, and now we've got a little bit of a crossfire going as our outlaws are hitting the chasing units from various sides. Those iron fists will certainly help, but they won't help enough when you're getting hit with arrows from every direction. Man, that must be frustrating. Not for long, though, because you're dead. Alright, very nice, very nice. The chasing unit is destroyed, and we're moving back now into the fray once more, especially as our units are once again hidden. I'm gonna go and try to destroy that ogre bull's unit. Gonna try to focus down those ogre bulls that don't have the iron fists, though, as it's much more efficient to destroy those. And leave the iron fists till later. Of course, this one had to be destroyed because it closed the distance and was chasing our war wagons. Also, it looks like the iron fists actually work against the war wagons as well, and they seem to be able to block the shots, which is a shame. But it does make the iron fist more useful in the sense that it makes more sense to build it, so good for the ogres. Alrighty, main enemy army moving forward now, but they're going to eat plenty of arrows as they come towards us. And yeah, man, this army is really, really nasty. Especially against armies that don't have, let's say, a ton of cav and stuff that would immediately move forward. This would probably be horrifying against chaos armies as well. Especially due to the, well, in particular due to the slow-moving infantry. Unlike the ogres, which are a lot faster. Now, when it looks like the enemy lead belchers are taking aim, and we've gotten a few hits on our war wagons, gonna back them off as they can be destroyed by those lead belchers extremely quickly. And frankly, we'd rather not lose them that way. Enemy army continues to make their way forward, but also continues to take damage. The balance of power is in fact now in our favor, and despite the fact that we started the battle off with the AI saying, it'll be a valiant defeat. And we have taken 0 damage so far. Or at the very least 0 units lost. Technically, one of our war wagons got a little bit damaged, but that's about it. Alright, you do have to be careful on those saber tusks, though. Ideally, if we do enough damage, they'll activate Rampage and try to go after the war wagons. Don't want them catching up to our hidden stalking archers and identifying them. Oh, it looks like some of them have, in fact, gone after our war wagons, and ooh, they've got Vissen's wild form on them now, so the extra armor is going to help them not get killed by our outlaws, and the extra weapon strength is going to make them do a lot of damage to those war wagons. Alrighty, try our best to run towards our main army, which is all the way up on this hill. Looks like we're starting to get some shots off with our field trebs now, and are going to now continue backing off towards the main stack. Alrighty, on the bright side, it looks like these units of outlaws have managed to peel away and are now hitting the enemy units in the sides, slash the back, while they give chase to our war wagons. And yeah, notice how none of the other battles that we played in this particular episode, other than the one where we dismounted our knights, have had any bugs or anything of that nature. It is only those ones. Alrighty, outlaws, I see you see some gorgers, and ooh, not good. The gorgers are heading directly towards you by the looks of it. They might actually not see you, but are trying to and get around our flanks, which does make sense, but it ain't great for you, because they can catch you and kill you with decent ease. The rest of the main enemy army is moving close enough by the looks of it to... Ooh, Hunter just died. Sniped by a combination of a few outlaws as well as our war wagons. You gotta love those war wagons for sniping single entities. And the enemy army has finally arrived, the Ogre Bulls making their way into the fray and starting on those Knights of the Realm. Gonna back it off a little bit as well, so that our prophetess and our damsel don't get hurt. We obviously don't care as much about the Defenders of the Realm, so they can take the charge, and then we'll move the squires into the fray as well. We are, however, starting to run out of ammunition on the units of outlaws, so we're going to have to send our war wagons towards them in order to try to get that ammunition reload up. Alright, charging into the fray, the foot squires now to go after the enemy hobgoblin, or nobbler trappers rather. And then more foot squires entering the fray against the ogres now that their charge has been exhausted on the knights. Oh, and there's the mercenaries, the hobgoblin mercenaries. Damn, they look pretty nice. Alrighty, I'm very much loving this battle. There's so many places I want to look. Over here, some foot knights are destroying the iron guts, where the armor piercing is really coming in handy. Looks like a combination of our outlaws and our blessed field trebs. I've also managed to pretty much destroy one of the enemy units of lead belchers, and the other one will fall to a combination of the war wagons and the other outlaws. These outlaws had run out of ammunition, but we sent the war wagons in, and now these guys have about 20% of their ammunition recharge, though they've been firing for a little bit as well, so maybe they had 25. Alright, and it looks like the lead belchers are nearly done. The iron guts are booking it out of there rather than fight the foot squires directly. And it looks like the battle's nearly ours. You gotta love watching regular infantry fight monstrous infantry and monsters. It's great. Asymmetric battles are very entertaining, and that's what Warhammer is all about. Well, over on this side, though, it looks like some gorgers are coming into their own and are dealing heavy damage to one of our units of foot squires, which are in fact shaken. We're going to try to give them a heal and going to send some reinforcements in, but it looks like these gorgers will at least be able to isolate one of our units and heavily damage them. 14k damage to them. And these were the gorgers that had found our outlaws and were giving chase to them. So I guess good job to them, but at the same time we sent those units in particular to save the outlaws from getting damaged. Anyway, it looks like the rest of the enemy army has in fact shattered, and only this one successful unit of gorgers remains. And it looks like they're basically the only ones that managed to do significant damage in this entire battle. The outlaws absolutely cleaned house with their debut. Fairly decent range in combination with stalk and snipe is real nasty. They're essentially like the hunters of the Empire, but a little bit better. And they lack anti-large, but they have stalk and snipe, which the hunters, as I recall, don't. Actually, I don't remember whether they have sniper or stalk or not. They probably don't have snipe. At least not that I recall. Alrighty, and the Gorgers are still holding, but once again we have to destroy them to a Gorger. And then there were two. And then there was one, and just one more. And there we are. Finally, the last of the Gorges goes down, and the battle is ours. In the meantime, we were chasing enemies off, and the war wagons are particularly good at chasing ogres down because they're fast, and they're good at sniping low entities. Lovely. A close victory for us, apparently, but I don't think so. I don't think we took all that much damage at all, though we basically lost all of our ammunition, and we're down to recharging, and that's probably where this is from. Alrighty, well, it certainly wasn't a valiant defeat. It was, well, I wouldn't even call it a close victory. Basically, we had one unit that got badly damaged by being in a pitched battle with enemy Gorgers here. Otherwise, the outlaws showed up. That snipe is so nasty. Again, or stalk and snipe. Together, I mean, is so nasty against the AI, and it looks like the highest performers did 27k damage, 33k damage. That would be on par with knights in many a battle, so well done to them. 14 and 16k okay damage on the two war wagons, but 46 kills, very solid considering all of those kills were ogres and not... the numbers didn't get inflated by hobgoblins or saber tusks or anything like that that the outlaws had access to. Either way, I'm very happy with the way that army performed there. We're going to take the... not a lot of money. Let's execute the captives. And I was expecting the vamps to be the ones to do this. Have they already moved, or are they gonna move? Well, I guess we're not going to find out right now because it's time for Clan Moors to attack us instead. Alright, and we've got a full stack of Skaven slaves, a full stack of elites, and then a little follower stack, well, a little follower half stack-ish as well. Yeah, almost a half stack. It's not bad. It's not bad against our peasants. We have basically no range to rely upon. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. Let's get to it. Alright, response is ready. Are you? Here we go. The piles of rats that have to be slain are going to be hopefully providing us a fairly interesting fight here. There are just so many of them. More than 40, which means all of the enemy reinforcements won't be able to make it onto the field until at least some of these guys are destroyed. Now, the biggest threats here is the enemy artillery and the 2 units of Poison Wind Globadiers and Death Globes. We have to try to stop the artillery and the Death Globes from doing anything. Now, the enemy also does have some Plague Monks, some Rat Ogres. I think there's some Death Runners in here, so and definitely other units that are scary to fight with peasants, but the artillery can do so much more. So here's what we're going to do. And the Pal Aladdin is going to block, or at least annoy, the enemy Warp Lightning cannons, while 3 of our 4 questing knights are going to try to pull some heroics, charging through the enemy army. Very nice, bloody charge there, dishing out about half damage to that unit of Skaven slaves, following up with another unit, and just charging right on through. We're not here to get bogged down and actually fight the enemy. We're heading towards those catapults. Regardless of the fact that this is, the enemy army has not moved all that far away from them. And we've charged right through one of the flanks of the enemy army. But hey, it'll be worth it if we can prevent the enemy catapults from dishing out the damage. So, and there we are, charge right on in, damage it, and then charge through, allowing the other units to charge the catapults as well, while these guys head towards the second catapult and the warp lightning cannon. Alright, now we can get bogged down in a fight. Time to break that artillery crew, but in the meantime, it looks like the enemy regular infantry are moving into the field. Rapunzel is going to charge them a little bit just to try to get the Halo of Maidenly Wrath into a cooldown there. There we go, knocking away some of those rats, doing, let's see, 18 kills, and just out of curiosity, about 6k damage, not too bad at all. The rats have arrived, and we're going to see what we can do about all this. They will, of course, here come the Death Globes, which are going to get a few shots off by the looks of it. We're going to pop an Uranon's Thunderbolt in the biggest blob of enemies that we can select, while we try to go after those damn Death Globes. I'm going to select all of our artillery and our peasant archers to target those, as they will kill off our units so quickly if we let them. On the bright side, it looks like our knights are holding a massive pile of enemies, so a Comet of Cassandra is going to come down and open a massive hole through the enemy formation, allowing our foot squires to make it into the gap in the enemy line. Over in the background, it looks like our questing knights have destroyed all 3 units of artillery. They're going to make sure to chase them down and then switch to chasing down the Death Globes and then that other Poison Wind unit, wherever it is, which is currently being focused down by our Blessed Field Trebs. Now it is a matter of holding against the massive piles of Skaven slaves and clan rats here. There we go. Don't get to see the Grail relic too often. Of course, it barely does any damage. It's just there as a support unit. It was nice to see it attack a little bit. Well, attack. If it can be called that. Sort of just moves at the enemy angrily. Alrighty, and we are still most definitely holding. Some rat ogres have arrived to try to menace Rapunzel, but she pops another Halo of Maidenly Wrath and continues making her way through the enemy infantry. The enemy lord is in here somewhere as well, and the enemy keeps blobbing up and thus taking hits from our artillery pieces. We also have a little bit of a battle going on in the flanks, or on the flank here, and was that a warp bomb? Ow! He just wasted one of his warp bombs, by he, I mean the AI, on... I think it was this warlord? Did he use it on the warlord? Huh. I'm not sure what that was, but, well, sucks to be him. The warlord is basically dead, having been assassinated effectively. And by the pal Aladdin, over on this side, the Plague Monks and the Death Runners got surrounded by foot squires and then charged in the back by our 4th unit of questing knights, the Knights of the Tower, which have worked together very nicely to prevent them from dishing out the damage with those Death Runners and that scary Weeping Blade ability that they have. It's still Weeping Blade in SFO, right? Pretty sure it is. Yes, it is. Minus 50% armor. Certainly not something we want either our foot squires or knights to deal with. Anyway, our main line continues to hold regardless of the clan stone that the enemy pops down. More plague monks are going to be, Morris clan stone in particular, more plague monks are going to be trying to hold the ground, but the Blessed Field Trebs and the knights will deal with them. Beast Slayers of Bastunn are also a very scary unit with all the buffs that they've gotten over the course of the Hex and the Lord buffs, trying to catch them. No, not the Defenders of the Realm, trying to catch their stats here. 69 melee attack, 108 melee defense, though that's with the stand your ground, and 119 armor. Those are some relatively decent peasants. Though peasants they still are. Rapun's still leading the way, knocking down rats, very nice. And charging into the fray against some storm vermin now. Alright, looks like the enemy's got some elite units moving onto the field, and that would be from the reinforcing army. We are still chasing the enemy down with our knights, but are now fighting some more elite infantry, which we will hopefully be able to rip apart with those blessed field trebuchets. And just like the Sutsun's guns, you got to love that non-ally damaging ability, especially or in particular with armies that rely on a ton of infantry like Rapunzel does. Alright, another Halo of Maidenly Wrath coming down, a little bit wasted here, but there isn't much left in terms of blobs of enemies, so may as well make use of it. And, ooh, there's another warp bomb coming in, but it looks like it didn't do too much damage. Kind of wasted on units like Knights, which A, move fast, and B, are too low entities to easily get destroyed by them unless they're all blobbed up around a unit, which in this particular case, they weren't. Good for us because obviously warp bomb can be very annoying to deal with. Over in the background, 3 more enemy catapults have arrived on the field, but we charge them immediately with one of our units of questing knights. They do get bogged down fighting the pit fighters of Hell's Deep Rat Ogre Regiment of Renown, but it's worth it considering the fact that all 3 enemy catapults are unable to fire. Balance of power shifts even further to our favor to about 80-85%. Rapunzel has defeated the enemy Master Assassin, and it looks like the battle is pretty much ours. The rest of the rats begin to rout, and even the storm vermin shatter. And we've got it. Fantastic. Looks like this one unit of questing knights took a little bit of damage to the enemy pit fighters, but otherwise, it looks like we did damn well in this particular case. Yeah, very, very nice. Lots of units to chase, however, so we're going to do that off screen because, well, it's gonna take a lot of time, and considering the armies that attacked us will survive, we need as many of them destroyed as possible. Well, alright, I gotta say that that went a lot better than I thought it was going to go, and I mean a lot better than I thought it was going to go. Granted, the first army was a giant pile of Skaven slaves, but they act as a meat shield for the pile of elites that made up the second army, though unfortunately for the AI, it, let's say, didn't quite work out that way. Looks like one of the lords died, one of the warlords just barely managed to make it off the screen, and we did destroy a decent amount of the garrison elites at the very least. In terms of standouts, we had 871 kills on these questing knights, nearly 80,000 damage, and then nearly 400 on these guys, pretty darn good. 32k and 430 kills on the bucketheads in particular, vastly outdoing all of the other foot squires, and it looks like our mage got 600 kills, not as many as the knights after all those heroics, of course. We certainly have to give the MVP to this battle to the knights for, well, go figure, right? For running around and being complete menaces in the back line of the enemy, but everybody did well. Also 53k damage and 450 kills on the stonecasters here, and the remote boulder delivery and did 33k and 330 damage as well. Very, very nice. Anyway, basically no reward for ransom captives, which means we're gonna execute, and Karakazgal should be ours. Alright, anybody else going to... what is this? Oleg. You're going to attack Rapunzel again, are you crazy? Honestly, this doesn't even feel worth it to me. It's basically the same exact fight, except now all the scary units are gone, no catapults. And we lost 34 units that, but I think we just auto-resolve this. And it's the same fight, but much, much weaker, without all their elites. And not only no catapults, since we managed to kill off all of the other scary units, i.e. the death globes and the poison wind globes, our foot scars just aren't under threat. And right now, we've got 107 armor on them as well. So basically, all the Skaven slaves and all the clan rats would be doing no damage to them. Of course, this will drop as soon as we get the Green Knight off the field, because he gives additional armor to all the peasants. But nonetheless, I'll resolve this, and this kills everybody, and we should be able to occupy the place. And on top of that, that'll allow our pawns to heal right back up. Assuming, of course, that nobody attacks him again.
Do you wish the lady's favor?
Alrighty, and anything else? What do you want? Oh, exiles in hand now. Alright, are we good for battles this time around? Yes, we are good for battles. Alrighty, well, there's gonna be a bunch of little announcements and stuff here. Like so, free Talisman of Endurance, a Hedge Wizard, Royal Pegasus Servant, blah 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 blah. Ooh, Razor Standard, nice. That's not as blah as the rest of the stuff. And Errantry of the Lady complete, so we have another campaign movement range plus 25% for 25 turns, which should last us until the end of the campaign. I would imagine we're very near to the close now, and I just want to make sure that we get to try out all of our super elite units. Like these guys, like the Hermit Knights, well, these guys are going to Louen. We're going to get some more to the Fey Enchantress. I might kill off the Black Pyramid just for fun, just so we can fight all of those massive amounts of Tomb Kings with somebody. And of course, we still have the finale battle, the Wars of Errantry, Badlands to do. But of course, I want Louen to get his super elite in his army before he does that. And ideally, also hunt down Clan Molder, hunt down... I don't see where Archaon went, but I assume he's out here somewhere. Well, we'll see about them all. Anyway, I have no idea how long this episode is going to be. We had like 7 battles. We had a lot of battles. And we're out of time. I'm rambling. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. All glory to the algorithm. And crush the peasants.